Stand at the gates of ancient Babylon 3,000 years ago, and you would see the single greatest city the ancient world had ever built. Its walls rose so impossibly high that soldiers proudly boasted 2 full chariots could race side by side across the top without ever falling. This was Babylon in its final glorious decades, a city so vast and dazzling that foreign travelers wept the moment they first saw its towers. Here, generations of kings truly believed they ruled the very center of the entire universe, and for a long while, the evidence seemed to agree. But even the mightiest cities are only ever borrowed from time, and Babylon's clock, though nobody yet knew it, was already quietly running out. Rising above the muddy, slow-moving waters of the Euphrates stood the Ishtar Gate, glazed in brilliant blue and guarded by golden lions and bulls. Ancient writers later ranked Babylon's massive walls among the greatest wonders the ancient world had ever seen, a boast rooted in genuine truth. Every single surface of that gate seemed designed to remind visitors they were entering a place built by gods, not merely by ordinary men. Beyond the gate stretched the Processional Way, a ceremonial road so broad that entire marching armies could pass through the city 8 abreast. Legends later spoke of terraced gardens rising in green layers above the rooftops, watered by hidden machines that defied all reasonable belief. Whether pure myth or genuine memory, the story captured something true about Babylon's endless, restless hunger to astonish the entire world. The great ziggurat of Etemenanki towered above every rooftop in the city, an enormous staircase of sun-baked brick reaching toward the heavens. To awestruck outsiders, it looked like a mountain built by human hands, a structure so strange it inspired legends for centuries afterward. At the very heart of Babylonian life stood Marduk, the powerful god believed to have carved order out of primordial formless chaos long ago. His great temple, the Esagila, gleamed constantly with gold leaf and drifting incense smoke that filled its vast, echoing, deeply sacred chambers. Priest astronomers charted the night sky from rooftop platforms, believing the movements of the stars quietly revealed the will of the gods. Priests moved silently through the crowded city like living conduits between ordinary mortals and the unseen forces that governed the cosmos. Every single new year, the king himself walked to the temple and briefly surrendered his crown, proving that his power came only from the divine. If Marduk's statue was not honored during the sacred festival, Babylonians genuinely feared the order of the whole universe might unravel. Rituals filled the calendar year-round, binding farmers, soldiers, and merchants together beneath one shared, watchful, and unblinking sky. Religion here was never separate from daily life. It was, instead, the invisible architecture quietly holding the entire city upright each day. Beyond the quiet temples, Babylon buzzed with a chaotic street energy that feels strangely familiar even after nearly 3,000 years. Merchants shouted prices for wool, dates, and rare imported spices, their voices rising over the constant creak of heavily loaded ox carts. The smell of baking bread mixed with river mud, animal dung, and the sharp metallic bite of copper being hammered somewhere nearby all day. Vast archives of clay tablets recorded contracts, prayers, and star charts, preserving the mundane and the sacred side by side for scholars. Scribes sat cross-legged in narrow strips of shade, pressing wedge-shaped marks into wet clay tablets that would quietly outlast entire empires. Children ran barefoot through the narrow alleys, while their mothers haggled fiercely over the ever-shifting daily price of fresh river fish.
Yesterday's catch, more likely.
Slaves, farmers, nobles, and foreign traders crossed paths in the streets, each one carrying a completely different version of the same city. At night, small, flickering oil lamps lit mud-brick homes, while distant temple chants drifted through the dark and increasingly quiet streets. For most ordinary Babylonians, empire was an abstract word, Life instead was measured in harvests, small debts, and the closeness of family. Nebuchadnezzar II turned Babylon into far more than just a city. He transformed it into a permanent statement carved directly into stone. Under his long rule, armies marched outward while builders simultaneously rebuilt the capital as proof of truly unstoppable royal ambition. Foreign envoys and hostages alike filled the royal court, turning Babylon into a crossroads where distant cultures quietly mixed and collided. Conquered peoples from distant lands were brought back to Babylon, their skills and stories quietly folded into the city's restless identity. Tribute flowed steadily in from distant provinces, filling royal treasuries that funded ever more astonishing and expensive construction projects. Yet behind those glittering golden facades, court politics simmered with rivalries, whispered plots, and dangerously fragile personal loyalty. Kings who followed Nebuchadnezzar struggled badly to match his towering legacy, and that struggle often curdled into deep suspicion and fear. Nabonidus, one of the very final kings, grew strangely obsessed with distant gods, leaving Babylon's own powerful priesthood deeply unsettled. A city built entirely upon divine order began quietly fracturing from within, long before any foreign enemy ever reached its towering walls. In 539 BCE, the Persian army under Cyrus the Great approached Babylon, and the once legendary walls, against all odds, simply did not hold. Some ancient accounts claim the mighty river was deliberately diverted, allowing enemy soldiers to slip silently beneath the gates unnoticed. Other accounts suggest the city itself simply opened its own doors, exhausted by a king, its own priests no longer trusted or willingly supported. Cyrus entered the city not as a brutal destroyer, but as a calculated ruler, carefully presenting himself instead as a genuine restorer of order. Temples continued their work, priests kept performing their rituals, and for a time, Babylon still felt on the surface unmistakably alive. But real political power had shifted permanently elsewhere, and a city that once dictated history now quietly waited on decisions made far away. Generation by generation, fewer people chose to stay, and the city that once housed hundreds of thousands slowly emptied street by street. Centuries slowly passed. New capitals rose in its place, and Babylon gradually stopped being the beating center of anyone's serious ambition. Canals slowly silted over. Mighty temples crumbled brick by brick, and the desert patiently reclaimed what proud emperors once fought to build. By the time later travelers finally arrived, they found only quiet mounds of brick where gods and kings had once walked so confidently and freely. And yet Babylon never truly vanished. Its language, its laws, and its stories quietly shaped the entire world that followed long after its fall. Every city that still dreams of lasting greatness walks, often unknowingly, in the long shadow of those glazed and gleaming ancient blue gates. If this hidden history fascinated you, subscribe for more forgotten cities, and tell us in the comments which lost place we should explore next.